All right, thank you very much, everybody. Welcome back. We're returning back to our briefing for August 2nd, the Mason County Commission, and we are moving into support services with Frank Pinter. Frank, you're up.
Thank you, commissioners. Our first item is a vacancy on the Board of Equalization. Dawn?
Good morning, commissioners.
Morning.
Carl Soper, he was a regular board member for the Board of Equalization, and he submitted a notice of resignation to you three commissioners and to BOE. We have reached out to both Brenda Hershey and Cheryl Williams, who are alternate members, and they are both interested in being appointed to the vacant position of Carl Soper. So Brenda is the more senior of the two, but not by much. And this person would take over, whoever you select would take over the term that Carl was in, which expires on 2024. And then we could re-advertise for another alternate member. So
Brenda is the more senior. Let me ask you this. This is we would not know this inside baseball. Have both of them attended regularly?
Yeah, they both attended for I don't mark my word, but like 4 or 5 meetings for them to get comfortable with the process and understand it. And they have both also taken the Department of Revenue training this last summer. So both of them are on board and could step into that position.
Excellent. Thank you. Commissioners, do you have a preference? My automatic go-to would be the most senior, because they were selected first as an alternate.
That was district dependent.
No.
Yeah, I'm fine with going with the most senior.
Commissioner Shooty?
Yeah, no issues with that at all.
Then Don, that's what we're going to do.
Okay, I'll put that on the next.
Excuse me 1 second. Kevin Frankenberger, I apologize, but this is not a briefing where it's open for public discussion. I see your hand up, so my apologies. This is our briefing time. This is only staff. Go ahead. So commissioners, we've made our decision to move forward with that, and we will have that appointed. So then we're going to have to go out for an open position to the press and stuff again, right?
Yes, I'll put that on the next agenda, both the announcement and the appointment.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, commissioners. Next item is a request for temporary position in the IT for succession planning of a planned retirement. Ross?
Oh, okay. All right. Let me get into that one. All right. We have good news and bad news. We have some good news that one of our IT members is going to retire as of February of next year. David, who we will miss tremendously. He was one of our biggest go-to guys we had over there. And what we would like to do is do a little succession planning before he leaves to gain as much information from him as possible for a new employee. What we would like to do is we would like to bring on a new information service tech who will take on the position of doing the desktop and the IT tickets that do come in for troubleshooting. David is fantastic at troubleshooting, and that is one of the highlights of having him with us. We want him to pass that along to the new person coming in and give them some time to gain that information and run a few things past David so that he can get everything going. We would like to put that person on by November 1st of this year, using dollars out of the ending fund balance to pay for that, which would be approximately $14,000. It's $14,452 exactly. Thanks to Jennifer Byerly putting together a monthly salary survey. And then we would actually keep that person on starting then and keep them on for 2 months with David next year, January and February 28th being David's last day. and to gain as much information as they can. And that would actually be a savings to our IT budget by approximately $15,000 total. Going from a person who was an information service tech to what we are paying David, and David right now is a system administrator. We still have a system administrator. That would be Ben Ramsfield. He's a system administrator, but this is we pulled Julia on to gain some information from David and also to help out when we had the COVID, when we brought in those 100 laptops and got her started on fixing those and also learning more about the systems that we use. And she has taken on the task with public health and also DCD of getting their computer system, the new system, up and running. So she is on her way to becoming a system administrator, but she still has a couple years to go before she'll actually be able to qualify for that position. So what our ask is, we would ask that we would be able to pick up a person for the IT position, the interim new position, get them trained for 4 months, and then when David leaves us finally in the end of February, we have a person that is ready to go, and we're not behind the 8 ball on trying to train somebody when we're short-staffed.
Commissioners, who'd like to speak first?
I'll jump. So I bet if you really talk nicely, David would just volunteer his time and he would stay here and not retire.
Yeah. I wish that could be it. Oh my God, do I wish that would be it. Yes.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great idea. I'm a strong supporter of succession planning. He's going to be a hard one to replace. We've got some amazing IT people, so I would support that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would be supportive of that as well.
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you
Next.
very much. Thank you.
Ross, you're next with the MCRA Park host.
Oh, okay. I'll keep going. By the way, good morning, commissioners. I forgot to tell you that at the beginning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Well, we have a MCRA Park host who her boyfriend was with her for a while in years past. He left during the COVID to go take care of his parents in Hawaii. And during that time, we had an update on our contract. And since he wasn't there, we didn't have him on the contract. He is now back with her and back living at MCRA. And we wanted to make sure we put him on the contract again. He was, for a while, one of our temporary seasonal employees. He is a fantastic guy. He actually does a lot more than what he really should be doing. And we are having we're really happy with this gentleman. His name's Reed Yamasoto. He is from Hawaii originally. Very good guy. He's been with us basically 4+ years already, but we need to put him on a contract with us too, since he's living on the property.
Favorable for me. The other two?
Same.
We're ready to go.
Okay, I will put that onto the tomorrow's for the contract signature.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ross. Next item is a discussion about the computer server outage. Ross and TJ.
I believe TJ's on. Let's see,
Yep, I'm here.
There he is. Yes.
Morning, TJ.
Morning, commissioners. So, as you know, last Monday we had a rough Monday, rough beginning to the day. So I want to discuss what actually happened. The previous Monday, I received an alert that we were getting low on space. So I went in, reorganized some things, freed up some things, made a little bit of room to keep things operating. By Wednesday, I noticed we had some errors in our dedupe settings, which dedupe, if you don't know, goes in and it looks for duplicate files on the system and starts to compact them. That process went well and actually started working correctly, and it was rifling through the files, doing what it was supposed to do. But by the weekend, we were due for full backup. And when a backup happens, it takes a snapshot, and any changes that happen during the backup process is stored in that snapshot. Well, since dedupe was going through every file in the system and compacting them, there was a large amount of changes, and it made that file grow to a point that we couldn't hold it any longer. So by Monday morning, the system started shutting down, trying to save itself. I did a little bit of work, sacrificed a server, it would be easy to rebuild, trying to get it back up and running, and then contacted our vendor. And with them, we were able to go through and compact all the snapshots and slowly get things back up and running. All in all, it was an 1.5 hour outage, which, interesting enough, takes us only down to a 99.97% uptime on that system, which is above industry standard for a good uptime. So after all is said and done, we managed to free up a terabyte of room. I now have a piece of software that can project our data growth over time, and that is showing we should live at the high estimate, we have 2 months till we're full again. At the median estimate, we're out 3 months. So we have to do something soon. The only real option is to add more storage to it. I requested a quote from our vendor. They actually provided 2 quotes, which we'll go over with Frank a little later. But the system is being used the way it's supposed to be used. It's just we have taken on a lot more data over the years. We do a lot more digitally now, and I think it was added on to with COVID and everyone working from home and going to a complete digital workflow. Everyone had to store everything digitally and work that way. So, you know, our data growth is quite a bit, and it's not going to go down anytime soon. Our SAN is 5 years old, so it is getting in the upper end of its lifespan. So that kind of works into the quotes that we will speak about here shortly. And I think that's about it. You guys have any questions?
Nope, looking forward to the quotes.
I mean, I agree. We'll see what those come in at and that kind of thing. But I think, it's obvious that this is a kind of a necessary system upgrade that we have to make. And I think this is, a ripe topic for our new IT steering committee to look at, what does the next, couple of few years look like? Because I think we're only going to continue to digitize, and we're going to continue to bump into those issues. And so I think just having a thoughtful, coordinated approach long term is the next step to getting us out of the woods in this current situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think going forward, we're going to be more of a hybrid. So you'll have more people, more online meetings, and people still continue to work from home too. So I think it's a good thing to look into.
Well, on top of that, I've already been talking to them about looking at some other options. The first thing you're going to have brought to you on your committee is got to be the safety of the county when it comes to cyber attacks and everything going on. Our risk pool, I just finished our risk pool meeting, and almost every single moment of it was spent on that. There's been several counties that have been held hostage. There's a lot going on with it. And 2 years ago, I had brought up the idea of seeing if we could locate off campus to make sure that we have that complete separation. And I think it's time for us, because we did something temporary by putting it up as public works, but we never finalized that. So I'm hoping that we can do that sooner rather than later. We're already going to have a new insurance rate because of all of this. And so it is changing quickly, but we have to do something to protect us, because when they do capture it, it literally is a killer. So waiting for the numbers. So what else you got, guys?
I think that's it for me.
Well, it's kind of interesting that you brought that up. I just sent an email out to Ben and TJ and Diane reference the new SHSP grant. They have changed the threat assessments. It used to be the threat assessments were for buildings with bombing and stuff like that was a big threat assessment. They started changing last year with making a small portion of the Homeland Security regional dollars to go towards cybersecurity. Now it is going to be the entire grant in 22 is going to be a competitive grant on pretty much basically just cybersecurity. They have taken that as being the new one. So I just sent something out to these guys to say, let's go ahead and get started on coming up with a program so we can be competitive into that and get some stuff that we need here for our county. So I agree.
Well, just to be aware, one of the things Risk Pool really truly believes is going to happen in the next session is that even though I do not believe in paying terrorists, but at the same time, there's a reality that comes with things and they've had to pay because that's the only way they could get their services back. And with that being said, they truly believe that the legislature is going to pass something that will forbid you from being able to pay it. And if that happens and we go down or somebody goes down, you can't even imagine what it would take to try and rebuild everything from scratch if you can't. So if we're not in front of it, what's the old expression? If you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And if we're on this menu, it'll get us. So.
Good way to put it. Okay, well, we still need to have a discussion, I believe, with TJ, Frank, Diane, and myself, reference the quotes. We haven't seen those yet. TJ did just get those on Friday, so we will bring that back to you guys with the quotes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You mean next Monday?
I'm sorry, next Monday.
Not
today. Yeah.
Commissioner Schutte, when is your guys' first meeting?
August 11th.
Hopefully they'll give, will you guys have all that stuff for them on August 11th? Because this is such a time sensitive. I'd love for them to have it early. And if they wanted to make some heavy recommendations sooner rather than later, it would be very much appreciated. I'm not afraid of it. This meeting was a terrifying meeting, listening to the different counties and what had happened and how little they could protect themselves at all.
Right. Yeah, we can do that. We can do that. We can send it out to everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ross. Thank you, TJ. Next item is the project list for ARPA funding. Just wanted to remind the commission that the items that we discussed last week that were approved by the board will be coming to the board for vote tomorrow. The three items that were related to Hood Canal, we put on the list for tomorrow. However, we put justifications next to it. So what this does is allows us to move forward with contracts and discussions with the different entities in regards to funding streams and funding sources. But with Hood Canal, we will be waiting for documentation from the Department of Commerce for validation, to validate that these are eligible funds, and we'll hold up all contracts until we do receive it from the Department of Commerce. So we have approved $5,117,000 of funding for out of the $6,500,000 of monies that are available for this tranche of ARPA funding. We still have $1,336,000 to appropriate. There are a few additions to the document that we had last week. One is a correction. I had the Mason County Sheriff's body cameras at $700,000. It should be $800,000. I had picked up the wrong amount there. Additionally, the information technology restructure or request, I put in a placeholder for $250,000, which is added to this list. This is what Todd and Ross were just talking about. A price for 2021 would be about $200,000, and for 2022 would be about $50,000. But again, that's a placeholder waiting for quotes to come in officially from the vendors. Another add was section 740, chapter 334, ESSB 5092 from the state legislature. This was county assistance fund that the state had put together. They are going to send $255,893 to the county for assistance with one-time costs related to law enforcement and criminal justice legislation enacted between January 1 of 2020 and June 30th of 2021. So one of the items that might fit under this is something that the sheriff's office is bringing forward today. It is not on the list because the board hasn't asked to put it on yet, for funding of paintball equipment. The sheriff's office is no longer authorized to use less than lethal forms of weapons that they had been using. So they're asking for funding to shift from what they currently had to what they believe is allowed, which would be a paintball type of a mechanism. So there's about $50,000 that they're going to ask there. That would fit directly under this heading. But again, those are extra funds in addition to ARPA funding. So what I'm looking for from the board is for your review of this and for further discussions about what you might want to prioritize in the additional $1,200,000 that's available for funding.
So I want to go back to the body cams just briefly. So I'm looking back at the action that we took, and the capital side of the cameras was $704,000, and the remainder of that is into the staffing that goes along with that. So my preference would be to use the ARPA money for the one time or the capital cost, and not use it to fund the ongoing staffing that's going to go along with that. I think that would get us into a bad spot sustainability wise. So I think the $700,000 number is accurate.
Okay. And
Well, yeah, and when intent comes into play, I believe that was our intent, was to spend that money for the capital, not for the employee. We talked about it for our budgets and our future budgets when we were talking about that. So I also agree, do not think that should be a confusing point. The capital investment was what came out of the ARPA funds.
And so I will leave it at $700,000. So there's $1,336,000 roughly still available to distribute out of the ARPA funds for this year's funding stream. Again, a reminder that next year we will have another $6 million, $200,000 or $300,000 available to us.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
That's okay. Thanks. I spoke with Jeff with the city, and one of the projects that both of us would split, or if it's a possibility that we could split, would be the sewer line extension from the high school to the basin. So they have ARPA funds as well and would be willing to work with us on that project.
Now, if these ARPA funds are available and usable for these new needs at the sheriff's office, I truly believe we need to step up and take care of those things as soon as we possibly can. I personally want to give an apology to any law enforcement officer out there right now that has to deal with this stuff that's been put in front of them. I am just sickened by it each day I hear it and see these things, and I'm just so sorry that you have to go through it. But if we have the opportunity to back them up and to make sure that they have the tools, I think we need to provide them with the tools necessary to always make sure that they're safe. So I'd like to make that an absolute priority. If there's money available afterwards, but that's just my personal choice.
So I think the money that's allowable for that isn't directly related to the ARPA funds. I think that's a separate. The $256,000 is separate from that. So I mean I agree with you. I think we'll have no problem putting that to use in the appropriate way, but that's not included in the 1.3 or so million left in ARPA, correct, Frank?
That is correct.
Okay, good.
That ask from the sheriff's office for that 50,000 roughly fits right under the section 740 authorization for the $256,000.
As you can tell, I got tunnel vision as soon as we started talking about that. So
On the
so there is $1,336,000 roughly still available.
Great. Yeah. So I would be supportive of putting some money towards the city's projects. I think being able to provide some match for them. I did have a conversation with Jeff last week as well, and have asked for some additional information from him regarding the projects and timeline, and what other funding sources are being compiled into that request. One of the things I also asked is if the projects were on the SEDS list, and I didn't see them on the SEDS list, and so I just want to get some clarification there, or I didn't see where they were on the SEDS list if they are there. So just a couple of minor things. That's the kind of the yardstick that we've used for the other projects, and so just trying to understand that. I know the EDC had put forward those projects as priorities, and so they must have gone through some sort of process there. I think having that documentation is going to be helpful.
Yeah. Kevin, just a clarification again, that's what I tried to make when we had the EDC on before. That recommendation list was not from the EDC. That was just the director of the EDC. It had not gone through the EDC. That list that was brought forward to us, where that was on the top. Just that's what I was trying to clarify back then. And I'll clarify it now. That was the request of the director.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Okay.
we should talk about it at our next EDC meeting, but I don't see where that should be an issue anyway. We need to make sure it gets on the SEDS list when we're doing anything like that, but it seems like a very important program.
Yeah. And so I think those projects are important. And in particular on the water line, I know that there are some conversations to be had with the state DOC that Jeff is having. And so I'd be interested in getting a little bit more information on that once he has that conversation. But the other thing that I would also bring forward, and this isn't on the SEDS list either, but I know we have some of our water system utility and sewer needs for our systems. So figuring out how to make some of those improvements out of the 1.3 that's left, plus help the city, I think would be really important. Thinking about Beards Cove, Russellwood, those systems where, those are communities that are, that struggle overall with, economically, that would be hard for those systems to sustain the necessary capital improvements, that are needed up there. So if we can find a way to do some of those improvements and get that information from Loretta and Richard, and get a number from them, and then put that together with what we might be able to, send towards the city's projects, I think that would be a really successful way to wrap up this first round of funding.
I would agree, Commissioner. We have Richard on here. I think Beards Cove we've always been doing exceptionally well on. We've even had an ending fund balance, but Russellwood is running backwards and it has many issues. So perhaps Richard, you're on. Can you let us know that you've heard this from us?
Yeah. Yes, definitely. I have, and me and Loretta have been talking quite extensively about those two systems in particular for this ARPA funding.
And one other thing to consider is for up there is perhaps going under that railroad track and a lift station.
Yes.
Thank you.
And Richard, can you also confirm that those projects can be completed by 2026?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
You bet.
Next.
Next item, Commissioners, is a conversation regarding the chart of accounts rewrite and the Munis expansion. Jennifer?
Thank you, Frank. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm really excited to be bringing this forward, and I think that anybody who inputs their chart of accounts into Munis should be excited as well. The current structure is an 8-segment, 32-digit bars number, and we would like to propose going to a 7-segment, 20-digit structure. That was actually our original structure back before 2014 when we went to Munis. And for unknown reasons, we included these extra digits. And anyway, I just wanted to get your blessing on this project before we actually go forward with Munis. Of course, we will bring back a cost estimate to you. I actually received a cost estimate last year for this project, and it was about $28,000 from Munis. So we're going to get a new cost estimate on that, and then there will be costs from Windom and also TerraScan. And so I estimated high at 100,000 on this chart of accounts rewrite, but I'm thinking it's probably going to be more in the range of about $50,000 total, but I wanted to be conservative in our ask of 100,000 there. But that will be the first step in doing our Munis expansion that has been, that the board has shown interest in the past. So what we would like to do is rewrite our chart of accounts so that there is not duplicate departments or programs in our structure, refine our bars numbers a little bit, and then implement our position tracking or position control as it's called in Munis. And then implement the executime that will really help out our sheriff department especially, and most likely our health department and public works if we can get a couple other modules as well. So that's kind of the plan right now as far as the audit committee is concerned. And so we're just looking for the board's blessing on this before we move forward.
Commissioners, on the audit committee, I can tell you it was actually kind of funny to watch them talking about it, because every single person in the room that knew what they were talking about, all were smiling, all were happy. It's almost as though somebody brought in some happy juice or gave them a breath of fresh air. And one of those was Diane. It was actually funny to watch it, but whether I knew it or not before that meeting, this is a no-brainer to me after watching all of them. So I completely and fully support it, and I hope you will too.
Oh, I think it's a great idea.
I agree. I think this will help a lot. So yeah.
I just wanted to add also that our timeline right now, we're looking at January 1st of 2022. That may be an aggressive time frame, but we do have the manpower that we didn't have before. We have Hannah here, who is succession planning for Paige. And so Paige will have a little bit of extra time before she retires next, I think it's April or May. So I just wanted to add that in there, that we actually have the manpower to do this at this time, which is what has been the holdup in the past. So thank you very much, commissioners.
Blessings all the way around, right?
That's awesome.
What else we got?
That's all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Frank?
Thank you. Next item I have is a request from the Shelton Rotary via Patty McGuire, the auditor, for the use of the parking lot at Building 1 or at Building 10 for a community garage sale by the Rotary. We have previously extended the authority to use the parking lot specifically at Building 10 for various purposes. One was for the Christmas tree lights, and the other was for utilization by a food truck. But that generally was done before the building was completed. So I'm asking the commission if they would like for us to look at offering the opportunity for individuals to use the parking lot. They would need it on one weekend, generally on a Saturday. They don't need the building open. They don't need power. If they're going to use it, they would have their own potties, porta potties. So they don't need anything from the county other than authority to use the facility.
And it will not affect any of our use of it.
Because it's on the weekend, correct. The only thing that we would need is insurance And they have $1 million worth of insurance coverage, which is what we've required for in the past.
Commissioners?
I think it's a great idea. It seems like building 10 parking lot would be a better choice. It's a little flatter and probably a little bit more visible too.
Yeah, I agree. Just for full disclosure, I'm a member of the Shelton Rotary Club, but definitely think that building 10 makes the most sense. So Frank, is this an ongoing thing or is this a one-time event? Okay.
One-time event.
Okay.
Let's make it happen.
Yep, I will. I'll have to coordinate with them. Construction is going to pick back up again to finalize building 10's landscaping and civil construction. So I'll need to make sure that we coordinate with them on the date where we don't have construction going on, or that would impede them from being able to use it.
And Kelly popped up. Does Kelly have a comment?
No, I really don't have a comment, except I am also supportive and I've talked to him. I believe it is a one-time event and I can surely go through all that and help them and do whatever they need.
Well, I appreciate that, but I think if they do anything, we need to not have our county staff, because then we start taking on some liabilities.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioners. Last item is LTAC recommendation to call for an RFP. Diane?
Good morning. So Lodging Tax met on July 21st to review the Welcome Center feasibility study. And then also all of our contracts that we have, they expire the end of this year. So after looking at everything, LTAC is recommending that the commissioners call for RFPs. For one thing, for our services we have had, the tourism development, festival support, and then support of our Wild Side guidebook. And then also continue visitor information center services. So that would be 2 RFPs. And then they're recommending on the Welcome Center to issue an RFP for a professional services contract up to $100,000. And that would actually be this year in 2021 to take that study to the next steps, because they do want to move it forward. And then in the budgeting, they changed the allocation to where there would be funding even next year for the Welcome Center to keep on moving that forward. So I'm asking permission to issue RFPs for these services.
And just for clarification, when they bring something to us, I know for financials, we are restricted with approving or disapproving and not to change things from our seat. Is that the same with all recommendations?
Yes, to spend the lodging tax money, there needs to be recommendations from LTAC, and the board can either take the recommendation or you don't do it, but you can't change the amount.
I just wanted to clarify that before we move forward. I personally am okay with it moving forward, commissioners.
I am as well. I think it's really exciting.
Yeah, I am super excited. We have a couple of members from the committee with their faces on the screen. And I think that all of us just are super excited about the possibilities that the Welcome Center and then NEO has been doing a great job as well. So incredibly supportive of this.
Thank you. Okay, so we will go ahead and move forward, Diane.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. That's all that we had today.
Okay, Commissioner discussions. Do you have anything for Frank?
Do not.
I have one thing I'd like for the commission to consider. It was brought up to me by the citizen at an event whose wife had committed suicide. And the same day, I ended up with somebody else talking about another situation where it occurred in a car where we have no provision for helping these folks. This person had to clean the brains off and stuff themselves. And I would like for us to at least have some type of consideration through the coroner's department to help invest in the coroner's department to maybe have some provision to help with this. when this type of situation arises. And I'm just putting it out there for thought. And if you agree, maybe we can send over some type of note to the coroner for consideration for them to consider it and bring us something back if they're interested.
You know, I think other counties are in other, I know Arizona, they have a fund that's set up. And so maybe Frank, if you could look into that, because I think that's a great idea. It's tragic what they go through anyway, and then having to do the cleanup is unspeakable. It's heartbreaking.
Commissioner Schutte?
Yeah, no, I'd like to explore the options. I think maybe a conversation with our coroner would be a great starting point, and seeing what we can do with them would be, I think, really important. Would be good.
Thank you very much. So Frank, please, if you don't mind, reach out on that and let us know what comes of it.
I will contact the coroner and come back to the board with some options.
Thank you, especially this last year or so, right, guys? Anything further, any other commissioner discussion? Then we're going to go ahead and move into community services with Dave Windom. Hi, Dave.
Hey, good morning, commissioners.
Good morning.
Hey, back in town. So I got a chance to explore the Puget Sound area. It was great. I had a great weekend, or a great week. So we don't have any packets this week. I did want to talk a little bit about the drought recovery plan. We've looked at the plan, sent that out to PUD1 to have a look at. We've talked about with Ross and company. The plan was written in 2014. It's out of date, especially to the different water systems we have. So we'll be looking at updating the list of water systems. My concern is that with the drought, we may have instances where we have community water that doesn't have water available. So how do we handle that? So we're working on that piece. And when we write this plan up, it's gonna be much thinned down from what's there now. It's just a very large thing. It doesn't need to be that big. So we'll be working on that here this week and trying to get a handle around that, because I think this can be a recurring problem. It could be a recurring problem. In any case, this is good to have, not just for drought, but for other events that may affect our water systems, like earthquakes. You know, you can have your wells, well stems broken, things like that happen with an earthquake, and then what do you do for water? So there's things we need to look at along those lines. So that's kind of the big push right now.
Do we have anything at our public works or
and then
anything?
on the COVID front, yep.
Do we have anything at our public works that could bring potable water? Do we have any provision at all for?
Well, that's what
emergency
we're
management?
exploring. So, you know, if that's one of the questions we need to answer in this through, and the PUD and I are talking about. So if we don't have water, where do we purchase water? How do we truck water? So those are the things we're looking at. So, because it also comes down to the water rights. So if you have a water system with, say, 60 connections, and you're trying to fulfill water for another water system that has 10 or 20 connections, then you run into water right problems. So we're looking for places that have the excess capacity.
Questions, commissioners?
So any questions on that? And then on COVID front, obviously our COVID cases took a bump up this past week, mirroring the rest of the state. So we went up to 59 cases this last week. Watching that closely, it's the Delta variant. It's more transmissive. So we're looking at that. Some mask recommendations came out of the CDC. The governor's office did not want to make those a mandate. So there's still a recommendation for consideration for folks when they go into community areas where you may have a mixture of vaccinated and unvaccinated. So, and that's kind of where the health officers have left it at this point. It's just a recommendation for people to just be aware that it's there, and to mask when going indoors in mixed company.
So Dave, can we get a clarification on something?
Sure.
This number that came out was a huge number and people started to panic. My question is, and I think I know the answer, but the public needs to know, that was not a one-day total, but a combined total that was released in one day. Am I correct in that statement?
That's correct. So we talked about this area command. Rather than doing this on a daily basis for the 1 and 2 cases that we had been having, we decided to go with a once weekly, which matches what Thurston County and other counties around us are doing, which is a once weekly release.
And I appreciate that, but that did not get out to the public. So if you don't mind adding that when you're putting the information out, that it is a combined total, not a daily, because they're used to seeing it daily. Please.
Right.
Questions?
Yeah, and we've also added into that weekly.
Commissioners, do you have any questions for Dave? Okay. All right, Dave, anything else for us?
I think that's the high points.
All right.
I do need to give Commissioner Schutte a call on a separate topic later, so.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. All right, so commissioners,
Thanks.
thank you, Dave. So we are way early. We can go for a break, but I see that Richard is on here, and I know that Loretta is not here, if I'm not mistaken. So do we want to just go ahead and go right into Richard? Or do you want to take a break, commissioners?
I'm good.
I'm good going in. Yeah.
Richard, are you available to be able to take your session now?
See Mike on there also.
We're here.
Okay, are you available? Are you prepared to do it now?
Yes. Yes.
Then let's go ahead and begin, please.
All right. Good morning, commissioners. We are our first item for briefing is the road closure for Homer Adams Road. It's about milepost point 1. It's just off of Deckerville. This is set up for August 3rd. Yes, Monday, August 3rd through September 3rd. August 3rd, it's August 23rd is what it is, not 3rd. So it's the 23rd to the 3rd. It's right on this one, Carson. We're closing the road to replace the corrugated metal pipe. It's an existing pipe, is 8 by 14 foot pipe. It's got no bottom in it anymore because of erosion. We are actually going to install a 30-foot wide half pipe arch that the guys are really excited about going and putting that together. So we will have a detour. We made an arrangement with Green Diamond to use their 6500 road to make a bypass, so the residents will be able to travel around those 2 weeks.
Any questions?
Just a comment. Really appreciate the outreach to Green Diamond and the fire service to work through those issues, and just making sure that we have some of those I's dotted and T's crossed. Have you also reached out to the post office?
Yes, if Kelly has all that listed and we're being contacted for those. Yep.
Great, thank you.
Up next is Richard's solid waste management plan.
Good morning.
Morning.
Okay, so as you probably read, the legislature directed Ecology to prepare a template for contamination reduction and outreach plan for recycling. And we have to adopt this by September 30th, 2021. This has currently been reviewed by the SWAC board twice. We're set to talk about it again here in another week. And concurrently, Ecology is reviewing what I've sent you, and the city of Shelton is going to get their copy today. And so what I'm asking is to set a public hearing at our next, August 17th. Hopefully we can set a public hearing for September 14th. And if I can get comments back from your review, I'll incorporate them if need be with the rest of the comments. And this will be something that is adopted into our comprehensive solid waste management plan as Appendix J.
So when do you need the comments back by?
You know, if I could get them back in the next week or two, that'd be great. It should be pretty straightforward. This template that Ecology provided, we have basically just adopted it as is because it's pre-approved, and it gives you a selection to utilize through the 10-step process of the reduction and outreach plan. To hopefully this just minimizes the amount of comments necessary and the amount of changes necessary. And this is something that will occur, I think it's over a 3-year period beginning in 2022. And really it's any expenditures out of this, that's probably something you're interested in, will qualify to be reimbursed through our local solid waste funding agreement, or SWIFA grant, that we also get reimbursed for our recycling efforts.
Cool.
Any questions, any comments, commissioners? All right, thank you, Richard.
All right, thank you.
You guys have anything else for us?
Just a heads up for this week. We're road crew wise, we're asphalt patching out at Coqualm Road, a couple of different locations. We are preparing to chip seal Boyer Road this week too. That'll be our second gravel conversion. We've completed all the chip sealing up on North Canal, off of SR 101. Guys did great. The roads look really awesome. There's a lot of chore getting the widths and some turnarounds and some other work that needed to be done for a while there. The other one would be Belfair Tahuya. We're preparing that for a chip seal of the road and shoulders. And so I think Rod's got about 2 or 2.5 miles of that ready to go. And then OBH, we will be starting probably next Monday, preparing milepost 0.2 to 1.2. So we'll be doing some shoulder reconstruction along there in preparation for the STP paving job that we're putting out to bid. So just a few things going on.
Excellent. Commissioners, do you have anything for them?
Do not.
I do. Mike, while you're out there, I have a complaint that the Burma Road is down to its base, and that we need to look at it for putting gravel over the top. If you wouldn't mind sending somebody out there to verify, look at that and see what we can do.
I will do that. In long term, we're going to have to start knocking off a mile or two of that road to convert it to chip seal. So I did hear you on the last talking with David about potable water. Is that something you want us to look into as a trailer system?
Well, I think that they haven't done their work, but I think we should be looking into it, because for emergency management, at the very minimum, I would think that we should have some type of availability during a crisis to deliver water. Commissioners, am I stretching out over my skis on that one for just having them look at the options for if they do bring that up?
No, I think that's fine, as long as they're coordinating it with Dave and people in his work group, so that everybody's on the same page.
Commissioner Trask, do you agree?
I do, include emergency management as well. So, but I think
yeah, wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay, so I sent a message over to Cheryl. Cheryl, can you hear me? Are you available? I asked if they would like to go early or wait until 11, but I have not received a reply. She may not be there. Cheryl, are you available?
Yes. Chief Dracobly and I are here. He's going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to see if I can get a hold of Chief Hanson, because he has a briefing item as well.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Good morning, commissioners. Apparently there's 2 items here that I'm going to touch on. One of them is at the front office, we're looking to secure the front office better. We've been working with Kelly Frazier to get some ideas of what the cost is. I believe we've also contacted IT to figure out telephone systems. So what happened is sometime about a week and a half ago, we had a person that was in a mental crisis in our lobby, causing a problem. We couldn't get her removed. We couldn't force her out. It tied up our front office staff for quite a while, and it just created a problem in which we believed that, or we discovered that our folks weren't really safe in there. So what we decided to do, or what we're looking to do, is get the front doors secured so that they are a very secured set of doors, that they have to be buzzed in to into the lobby. In doing so, we would have a set of phones or a phone system on the outside so that we could communicate with the folks that are on the outside to figure out what their need is, if we can buzz them in and go from there. We're also looking to put a better video system inside of the lobby area that will have audio on it. This is so that if something happens to our staff down there, we know what's going on. We're able to pursue whatever we need to pursue. The estimated cost on this project is about $7,000. We're still in the initial stages of it, and we're working with Kelly on it.
I myself, I think it's a very small investment for a big benefit. So, Kelly, go ahead.
I'm good with it. I looked into it. I think we're right on about, yeah, $7,000-8,000 is what we can do to get that going.
Okay, commissioners?
No issues with me.
I think it's well worth it.
Don't we love it when it freezes in mid conversation? It's always good. So, Chief Dracobly, sounds like we're good to move forward.
Okay, we'll start working on it with Kelly and get it all put together. Thank you. Second item would be, and I know that Frank had already discussed it, was, I think he referred to it as paintball guns, but it's not really paintball guns, although they kind of look like paintball guns. It's actually pepper ball guns. They're used as a standoff tool to disable somebody, to help us take somebody into custody. It's a less lethal tool that we can use. Due to the new reform laws that have come out through the state and some very odd language in one of the legislations, we've had to pull off our 12-gauge shotguns, which had beanbag rounds in them, which was a great standoff, less lethal tool that we could use. It protected us, it protected the people, but now with the legislation the way it is, we can't use those. We've had to recall them off the street and secure them. So our next option is to go to a tool that is not a firearm, and this pepperball gun is not a firearm. It's strictly air driven, just like a paintball gun is. And along with that, our SWAT team has to convert to a couple of different types of, not tear gas, but it's like pepper spray grenades that will fit the criteria for our new legislation. So it all falls under the new reforms that the legislation has pushed out. We're estimating that's going to be around $50,000 to get everything set up. We'll be working better to get some better numbers here soon.
And ballistic vests.
Oh, the ballistic shields?
Shields, yes.
Sorry, I forgot there was one more thing. We're looking at getting what looks like, think of the Romans with their shields and stuff. We're trying to get together some small ballistic shields for our patrol officers to have that would be assigned out, I don't know, 2 or 3 per crew, so that if needed, they'd be able to pull these shields out, and we'd be able to use them in a manner in which we could put a shield up in between us and a disturbed subject, somebody that's in crisis, or a criminal event that would end up maybe in the old school, would be using more force, and this way we'd be able to protect ourselves, protect the suspect, and just come out with a better end.
I would like to see us move forward. That, if you remember, I actually requested that and further gear about a year ago when all the things were happening in all the towns. I think we are better off being prepared for that.
I agree with you. Thank you.
Commissioners?
Yeah, I think it's great. The better we can protect our officers in our community, I think we should move forward with whatever we need to do.
Yeah, I'm supportive as well. And just a point of clarification again, this isn't from the ARPA money. This is from the local contribution. So
Yeah.
so from the legislature.
State reform money that they just pushed out.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And then apparently Kevin, Chief Hanson, is he on here?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm here.
Hi, Chief. You want to take this next one?
Sure. So, as you guys know, we've struggled to find qualified candidates to fill the corrections positions. Well, since I've been here and probably even before then. Frank and I had talked a couple times in the past year or so about the potential of having some hiring incentives. And I checked with some of the other jail chiefs and administrators around the state and found that some of those people are doing what we're proposing here is offering up a hiring bonus. There's a couple things that come to light here. We're hopeful that if we do something like this, we can attract some more people through the civil service to apply for these jobs, the corrections jobs, by offering a $5,000 hiring bonus, which means that you go through the background process and you get hired, and on your first check, you would see that additional income. And then after 3 years, another $5,000 if you choose to stay with us. And I think the second part of this is just as important as the first part, meaning the $5,000 after the 36 months, because oftentimes, pretty much everybody we interview wants to be a cop, and they express to us during the interview process that they want to come on to corrections and they want to use this as a stepping stone to go to the road. Well, as you guys know, we invest a lot of time and money into hiring and training somebody for them to leave within, the first 24 months. So hopefully this will help entice people, at least give us 3 years, give us a little bit of return for our investment. Budget impacts, this year, Cheryl says that we're okay. We've got enough salary savings through these 5 open positions that I think I got 5 open positions now. And is that right, Cheryl? We still have 5?
Yes, I believe you have
Yeah.
five or six with the most recent.
Yeah, and then I have another deputy moving to another agency here in the next couple of weeks. So there'll be 6 open positions out of the 27. We have, as you can see in the briefing, we have very few people to choose from. So that's not a good thing.
And I understand you have some that are on leave and you're down to 9 is what I was told the other day.
Down to 9? What do you mean?
Because of health and other leave that you guys are trying to do with so little that you were down to 9 at one point?
No, we've never been that low. We may have had people out on injury and things like that, meaning 9 total positions.
Yeah, that's what I understood. Yes.
Yeah. We've had some on the job injuries. We've had some off the job injuries. We've had some babies born. We've had a multitude of things. And then of course, on top of that, just the vacancies. And for whatever reason, we've washed out more people in the background process in the last probably 6-8 months than I think I washed out in the last 5 years. And we're getting some people to apply, but getting them through the background process is very difficult for whatever reason right now.
So Chief, how would this work with the ones that are already there? Would this only be for those that are signing up from this point on? Or is there a bonus for those that have already been there so that they don't leave as well?
Well, the intention is that we just start this from this point forward. I think it would be difficult and probably problematic to try to figure out, everybody in the last 3 years gets a $5,000 bonus. I don't know that we want to go there really.
No, I don't. I just looking at the dollars and just want to make sure
Yeah.
the dollars are correct, and they wouldn't be if we were doing anything other than brand new hires.
Yeah, just new hires.
And the unions, you guys have talked to the unions?
Frank reached out to the union last week, I believe. And I don't know Frank, are you here?
Yes, and actually I have a follow-up meeting, phone call with them today. They're receptive of the idea. They don't have any problem. We just need to create an MOU between us identifying the actions that we're going to take.
Should we move forward with this now or wait until we have that information, Frank?
I'm just looking for the authorization from the board to continue to move forward with it, and then we'll bring an MOU to the board for authority.
Okay, commissioners?
Yeah, I'm supportive of it. Just a quick question for Chief Hanson. So, assuming the MOU, we get that all resolved and put this into place, how quickly, can you get your listings updated and get this working?
Well, as soon as we get the approval, we can, today I could put it on the website. We could get, the civil service could start advertising that. It's nothing that I can just do it immediately.
Okay.
This is very similar to other counties, correct?
Yeah. Yes, it is. Well, and cities too.
Yeah.
That's where the idea generated from, is actually one of the cities up in Pierce County.
Yeah, I know Pierce County, I think even their sheriff's office is doing this as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to work, but you know what? At least we can say we tried.
It's worth giving it a shot, I think.
Yeah.
And who wouldn't want to work for Mason County? Seriously.
I know, right? We're the best county in the state.
Right? Exactly. That's why you're here.
Okay, so we'll continue to move forward. And Chief, if you have other ideas on how to do it, we have to give you enough to always make sure your people are protected. So, if there's other opportunities you see, perhaps even different types of trainings that we can pay for to help move up the ladder, or other opportunities to create a ladder with some higher rungs. I'd like to see us just be able to maintain and make sure we have enough in the future for you.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
All right, next is Chief Spurling in one of the rooms.
I think that's the pepper balls and ballistic shields that we already covered.
No, commissioners, that's Chief Drackley covered everything that we have to talk about today.
Okay. All right. Do you have anything else for us?
Nope. I don't believe so. No, thank you.
Commissioners, do you have anything for them?
Do not.
Do not.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. Any further discussions?
Oh, I do want to let you know that MTA Belfair Station was broken into. They're doing a little investigation, and we can probably keep you guys updated as we find out more.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Other than that, if we have no commissioner discussion, I will entertain a motion, and we will see each other at 2:00.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. Hearing no objection, we are adjourned. Thank you.